In the grim darkness of the far future, there are hellscapes beyond imagining. For in the 41st millennium, to be one of the vast flotsam of humanity is to know suffering. It is in the dying gasp of Deathworlders as their bodies succumb to the flora and fauna of their savage climates. It is felt in the back-breaking toil of common citizenry as they labour among manufactorums and machinery, the taste of smog and smoke thick in their blackening lungs. It is encountered in the frivolous waste of lives as uncaring masters treat lives as currency for the endless politicking of power struggles. Yet there is one place far, far worse. For this place is not for humanity, not for any sentient species save those who occupy its dark towers and seemingly endless depths. For those who visit the dark city of Commorragh, few ever leave, and those who do are never the same again. It is there that they learn the true meaning of suffering, the endless agonies of torture, the exquisite shades of pain that the perverse artists of that realm can paint a masterpiece of. It is to be reduced to nothing more than entertainment and nourishment, to being forced to survive in an endless state of distress, praying for that moment of final release. This is the one place in the galaxy truly worse than all others, the city that all pray to avoid, the dark city of Commorragh, and its supreme overlord, Asdrubael Vect. Hello and welcome to the channel. I am Azazel, and for better or worse, you have stumbled your way onto this video surrounding the dark city of Commorragh. I'll do my best not to ramble, not to get caught up in the intertwining stories and politics of the characters that reside there, and instead give an overview of the city, its various subrealms, and a brief glance at the denizens of those depths. Quick shout out, please do like, comment, subscribe, and your feedback is appreciated. Even things you didn't like about the video, do let me know, it helps me improve after all. With that said, steel your hearts and gird your minds as we enter the most horrific place imaginable. The place where hope goes to die and where thirsting gods rack the souls of billions, while directing madness on the stage of our galaxy as easily as puppeteers pull on strings. Welcome to the 41st millennium. Imagine, if you will, an endless sprawl of a city. Soaring towers, brutal buttresses, graceful arching bridges, the never-ending landscape of an impossibly large realm. Leagues from its surface, the sickly light of the Ilmae gazes down on its heights with a dark glow. Suns, harvested from their locations in real space, dragged into the webway and contained within protective aegises that hold their immense power within, yet allow a fraction of the power to dissipate among the city for light. In the center, at the highest of heights, within Sorrowfell stands Corspur, the ruling seat of the black-hearted master of manipulation, Asdrubael Vect. For millennia he has held the reins of power within this dark expanse, having wrested them away from the former noble houses millennia ago. Around Sorrowfell stand 13 screaming statues of Vect himself, each a representation of one of the foundations of vengeance. Each one a welcome to those who approach High Commorragh, a reminder of who truly rules this place, and a warning to those that would oppose him. For, should they come for him, they had best strike hard and strike true. For mercy is a word that Vect does not understand, and his backup plans and contingencies know no bounds. Beyond that, lies the rest of High Commorragh. Here rule the most successful Archons of their respective Kabals, in Vect's name, of course. They were born out of the reshaping of the Dark City when Vect came to power, a dismantling of the noble houses and a step towards tribalistic meritocracy, to ensure only the most manipulative, ruthless, and cutthroat would ever hold any power here. Their spire fortresses are ringed with weapons platforms that spit death in 1,000 different ways. Some that spread mindless destruction, and others a more painful degradation. Patrols of flying hellions and scourges blacken the already darkened skyline when they gather in their thousands. It is between these cabals that war is waged in 100 different ways. Political maneuvering, assassination, outright destruction. Defenses are tested, toxins are released, and bribery is always looking for the weakest point to gain access to a cabal. For here in Commorragh, nothing is sacred. To lose one's station, one's life is merely a confirmation of weakness, and an understanding that they were no longer fit to rule. And through this demanding practice, only the cruelest and most cutthroat of Commorragh's citizens prevail. Scattered throughout the Dark City are the witch cults of the Drukhari, pillars of the Dark Society. All of Commorragh flock to their arenas for the entertainments and indulgences therein presented. For among a society that gluttons itself upon the pain and suffering of others, there is no greater entertainment than a feast of bloodletting, savagery, and agony. Gladiatorial arenas present bloody ballets for the millions of hollowing Drukhari. Xenos races are gathered together from the Drukhari's real space raids and forced into bouts upon the sands. Human, Tau, Barghezi, Orc, it matters not. All that matters is the death and pain that simmer up from dying warriors as a sustaining miasma to the jeering public as they fight and flail and die. Of course, they don't merely fight one another. The witch cults are famed for their incredible skills as close-quarters combatants, fleet-footed as to leave the eye flickering behind, and as lithe and controlled as an acrobat, as deadly an enemy as one could meet in this dark universe. The weapons they wield are as diverse and personalized as one can imagine. The vast array of toxins and poisons that the darkest minds of the Drukhari can conceive of coat their many blades. Weapons that can bend, segment, and whip around an enemy to leave them confused and bleeding from a dozen wounds, while the gladiatrixes serve a masterful display of agility and cruelty, eking out the suffering of their prey without granting them the mercy of a swift death. For such masters of battle can time their foes' blood loss to the greatest accuracy. Beyond these heights of depravity, these dens of despair and treachery and feuding, Commorragh becomes only worse. For as one descends Commorragh, Hellion gangs whip by, their first masters, their bloodthirsty whims and desires. Lesser cabals fight one another for territories, streets, and workshops, their affiliations to their greater political allies in High Commorragh meaning little among the endless alleys and walkways that descend through the darkness of the city. In this part of the Dark Realm, the deadly games and brutal violence of Upper Commorragh is mirrored on a smaller, more desperate scale, as those who have little fight all the harder to keep what they demand as theirs, and reap a bloody toll from their rivals. On and on it goes, layer upon layer, districts, factions, and gangs. Xenos from across the galaxy, only the most savage, cunning, and skilled arrive in Commorragh to sell their swords. For a greedy price, of course. Deep, deep down, the faux civilization of the former Aeldari port city devolves into regions of slums and outcasts. Hunters and hunted. Predators, one and all. For every single citizen is an able-bodied killer. Yet, they find themselves in an ever-revolving cycle of inadvertently becoming prey. Whether through weakness, laxity, or the ruling law of nature within Commorragh, opportunism. As one passes the lower depths of Commorragh, one enters the lairs of the Haemonculi Covens, the denizens of the deep and masters of the flesh. For the Haemonculi Covens hold a special place in Drukhari society. They are the ones to whom turn even the highest of Archons when in a squeeze. They are rebuilders of fallen bodies of Drukhari, bringing back members of their fallen race from the smallest pieces of organic matter. Belonging to them are the secrets of bioengineering, cloning, and gene manipulation. From them come the birth of 1,000,000 dark plagues that can incapacitate or utterly destroy an enemy. The concoctors of horrorful hunting machines, the Dr. Frankensteins of 1,000 creations of monsters. But above all else, they are artists of pain and suffering. The body is merely a canvas for them, an artwork bereft of colour. They are savants of cruelty. Millennia of training and technique meet the inspiration of true virtuosos as they find new ways to carve, slice, and tear their victims to the precipice of death. To slight one of the Lords of Pain is to experience a new understanding of horror. For, of all the myriad nightmares made flesh and monstrosities that lurk in the dark corners of our galaxy, there is nothing in this universe that approaches their cruelty and experience. Despite being an integral part of Drukhari society, and therefore having the potential to wield an enormous level of power over the race, the Haemonculi Covens dwell within Commorragh's secret underground. To enforce any excessive level of power over the heights would only result in terrible political backlash and death, and the possibility of having their skills yoked to whichever warlord among the Drukhari would take power. And quite besides this hypothetical situation, the Haemonculi are obsessed with perfecting their twisted and perverse crafts. So it is that the greatest among them broke a pact with Kabals. Lesser minions and their assistant racks work serving the Kabals' interests, and in return receive a steady supply of fresh meat so that they can continue their wretched, twisted experiments within the depths. The Black Descent, the Altered, the Prophets of Flesh, covens of the maddened geniuses that proliferate the lower strata of Commorragh with their rituals and experiments deep within the dark. But this, at its most basic, is not the extent of Commorragh. For Commorragh is more than a mere physical port within the webway. Its satellite realms and lower depths form an expanse more than one can imagine. A dark empire of the Drukhari united by the iron fist of Asdrubael Vect. For, with the technology of the Drukhari, one can teleport in the blink of an eye from one fixed location to another, and in this lies the secret of how they have yoked together disparate subrealms into one dark city. For many of these subrealms were carved out by avaricious or enterprising Drukhari during and after the fall, and they existed in their own spheres within that unknown, shifting, thread-like realm we know as the Webway. Many physically in disparate, distant areas of the Webway proper, yet through the course of millennia they have been subsumed by the fabric of Commorragh. These subrealms were conquered, and their gates permanently locked open to allow the rule of Commorragh, and loyal Archons of Kabals to pillage, plunder, and hold them under Vect's command. Many of these, indeed, serve no purpose, their realms too twisted or touched by the warp or other such alterations of the physical realm, yet they are claimed. For to leave subrealms unattended and outside of the tyrant's grasp is a hint at weakness that many falsely subservient Archons would take as a goad to seek greater power. So it is that in Zeatrenei, time itself jumps back and forth in chronological leaps, and in Melir Dum, the killed may rise again to take vengeance upon their murderers. These realms, and 1,000 more, yoked under the power of Commorragh, and so, in effect, an extension of the Dark City itself. Yet there are a few more subrealms which deserve mentions, ones that I will, in the future, dive into a far more detailed entry, for they truly deserve their own mentions. Those of Shaa Dom, Aelindrach, and Cain's Gate. For Shaa Dom was a subrealm, one of such power and military might that it threatened the sovereignty of Commorragh itself. Vect, in a moment of unbridled savagery, and as a signal that he would brook neither competition nor rival, launched a human ship within the realm of Shaa Dom, obliterating the security of the webway that held the depths of the warp at bay. Thus did the warp swamp over Shaa Dom. Demons walked freely, and the inhabitants of that place were twisted, killed, or had their souls ripped from them. What became of that subrealm and its denizens is a conversation for another time. Our next honorary mention in this entry is the realm of Aelindrach. Aelindrach, home of the Mandrakes, a place where the shadows writhe like living beings, and the beings that do dwell there stand with only a foot in reality. Here is the realm of the monsters in the black, nightmares from the Stygian depths, the lesser-known horrors of the shadowed dark. For in this realm will determines truth, for to lose one's will, to give in to one's worst fears among the midnight black fabric of unreality, is to fade away and be absorbed forever among the obsidian landscape. If one were to ever have the misfortune of visiting Aelindrach, you would see a vast realm unto itself, scripts of blue witchfire designating rivalries and loyalties among the natives. While it was once nominally considered part of Commorragh, it was far too alien, too different, too secretive to be called Commorragh proper. While the Mandrakes served as mercenaries on occasion, their true calling was, is, and will forever be to the realm of Aelindrach, for they never truly leave it. Their souls are bound with a connection to that place. In shadow they are born, and to shadow do they return. This, partially, gives Mandrakes the ability to move through shadows in real space, to take a step through the planes of reality, to appear in the darkest corners of a realm, and to strike without mercy, and fall back into darkness in an instant. And there dwells one with whom I intend to illuminate more, Caradruach, King of Mandrakes, the ruler of Aelindrach, and the one who, through dark rituals and millennia of patience, opened a massive portal between Aelindrach and Commorragh, and has transformed a sizable portion of the Dark City into his realm. And final mention, Cain's Gate is a vital part of Commorragh, or at least was, the portal that allowed Commorragh to drown in a veritable tide of demons that was shaken loose by the disjunction caused by the awakening of Iniad. It is a pivotal part of Commorragh and the unfolding events that continue unto this day. Therefore, this area and the events therein will be saved for another time. And besides, if I gave you everything you wanted to know in a single entry, there would be no need for you to return to my channel, would there? With that said, I do hope you enjoyed some escapism from reality into the nightmarish depths of Commorragh, an endless dark labyrinth, one whose fathomless depths grant our players unimaginable freedom to create our own Kabals, covens, and arenas for backstories and games together. Personally, I want to see more Drukhari lore and models. They are phenomenal faction, cruel, capricious, and at least in my opinion, living in fear. For they feel the drain of their souls at every waking moment of their lives. It becomes their obsession, whether they like it or not. They are cruel, evil, sadistic, and yet it comes from a place of abject terror. Not that they or any of their ilk would admit it in the slightest. Enough rambling for me in this short entry. I've got more videos to write and record, so I will bid you adieu. I also apologize for my voice. I had a wisdom tooth removed a few days ago, and oh god, it still hurts. Now, do please like, comment, subscribe, and share, as the algorithm needs a bit of a boost. Until next time.